Africa, a land of ancient rhythms and untamed beauty. It calls to the adventurer, the seeker, the brave, where the sun burns bright and the shadows run deep. But remember, in Africa, you are not the viewer. You are part of the food chain. Today, we're diving into some intense stories from Ghana, a land of beauty, history, and powerful traditions. Not every souvenir is meant to be taken, and not every shortcut is safe. Picture the chaos of Kejetia Market, the heavy silence of Cape Coast beaches, and the pulse of Accra's backstreets. These are the settings for 3 stories about travelers who ignored warnings and paid the price. Some things are sacred, some histories still bleed, and some secrets are kept for a reason. Let's get into it. Meet Sophia, a passionate American art student whose fascination with African art runs deeper than most. Her dorm room is a vibrant gallery of African prints, textiles, and especially masks, each one a window into a world she longs to understand. But among all her treasures, it's the mysterious Ashanti masks that captivate her imagination the most. She pores over books, sketches their intricate designs, and dreams of one day seeing them in person, believing that if she could just hold one, she might unlock its secrets. Driven by this obsession, Sophia embarks on a journey across the Atlantic to Kumasi, Ghana, the heart of Ashanti culture. Her first destination is the legendary Kejetia Market, a sprawling, chaotic maze alive with color, sound, and the scent of spices. The market pulses with energy. Vendors call out, children dart between stalls, and every corner seems to hold a new discovery. For Sophia, it's overwhelming and exhilarating, a living tapestry of tradition and commerce. Wandering through the labyrinthine alleys, Sophia is drawn to a quiet, shadowy corner where time seems to slow. There, she finds a stall draped in dust and mystery, its shelves lined with ancient-looking masks. An old vendor sits behind the counter, his eyes sharp and knowing. He watches as Sophia's gaze lingers on a particularly striking mask, its features both beautiful and haunting. Sensing her interest, he warns her in a low, serious voice. These masks are sacred, not meant for outsiders, and carry the weight of generations. But Sophia, caught up in the thrill of discovery, sees only a rare artifact for her collection. She pleads, insists, and offers more money, her excitement blinding her to the vendor's unease. The old man hesitates, his hands trembling slightly as he weighs her offer against his own misgivings. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he relents, reluctantly, accepting her money and preparing to part with the mask. As he hands her the mask, the vendor's expression turns grave. He leans in, his voice barely above a whisper. "You are taking a voice that does not belong to you. Bring it back, if it asks." The words hang in the air, heavy with meaning, but Sophia, caught up in her triumph, barely registers the warning. That night, in her small guesthouse room, Sophia is restless. She drifts into a dream filled with the hypnotic rhythm of tribal drums, flickering firelight, and swirling dancers whose faces are hidden behind masks. The chanting grows louder, echoing through her mind until she wakes with a start, her heart pounding, the mask lying on the table, watching her. She tries to shake off the unease, telling herself it's just nerves and excitement, but the unease lingers. Soon, Sophia begins to hear whispers, soft at first, like the rustling of leaves, then growing louder, more insistent. The voices seem to follow her everywhere, in the market, on the plane home, and even in the quiet of her apartment back in the States. Shadows flicker at the edge of her vision, and she feels watched, haunted by something she cannot see. The mask's presence becomes oppressive, filling her room with a heavy, suffocating energy. Sophia can't sleep. Her nights are plagued by strange dreams and the relentless whispers. She can't focus on her studies, her friendships begin to fray, and her once bright world grows dim. The mask, once a prized possession, now feels like a curse she can't escape. Desperate for answers, Sophia throws herself into research, scouring books and online forums about Ashanti beliefs and the spiritual significance of masks. She learns that these masks are not mere objects, but vessels for ancestral spirits, guardians of memory and tradition, never meant to leave their homeland. The more she reads, the more she realizes the gravity of her mistake. The vendor's warning echoes in her mind, growing louder with each passing day. She remembers his grave expression, the weight of his words, and finally understands. She has taken something that was never hers to claim. With no other choice, Sophia makes the difficult decision to return to Ghana. She retraces her steps through the bustling Kejetia Market, mask in hand, her heart pounding with anxiety and hope. The old vendor is there, waiting, as if he knew she would come back. With trembling hands, Sophia returns the mask to its rightful place. The moment she lets go, the oppressive weight lifts, and the whispers fall silent. Relief floods her, and for the first time in weeks, she feels at peace. Sophia leaves Kejetia Market changed. She has learned that some art is not for owning, but for honoring. Some voices, ancient and sacred, must remain where they belong, guarded by those who understand their true power. And sometimes, the greatest respect we can show is to listen and let go. Next, we head to Cape Coast Castle, a place heavy with the pain of the transatlantic slave trade. Its whitewashed walls and imposing ramparts stand as silent witnesses to centuries of suffering, echoing with the memories of those who passed through its gates in chains. The salty air carries whispers of the past, and every stone seems to hold a story of loss and longing. Mark, a writer searching for his next story, joins a tour of the castle. He moves through the halls, notebook in hand, his gaze distant. Unlike the others who listen intently to the guide's words and pause in reverence, Mark remains detached, almost clinical. He's here for inspiration, not empathy, hoping to find a spark for his work, not to confront the raw pain that lingers in the air. The group descends into the dungeons, where the air grows thick and the light fades. Mark lingers at the back, drawn to a patch of disturbed earth. Kneeling, he brushes aside the dirt and uncovers a small glinting gold nugget, its surface dulled by time, yet unmistakably precious. The others move on, unaware of his discovery. Without hesitation, Mark slips the nugget into his pocket. He tells himself it's a lucky find, a token of history, something to inspire his writing. He doesn't pause to consider the weight of what he's taken, or the stories that might be bound to it. All he sees is opportunity, a chance to possess a piece of the past. That night, as Mark returns to his hotel, a strange unease settles over him. Shadows seem to stretch longer, and every footstep behind him makes his heart race. He tries to sleep, but his mind is restless. In the darkness, he hears phantom footsteps echoing in the hallway, and the distant sound of chains dragging across stone. Sleep finally comes, but it brings no peace. In his dreams, Mark is back in the dungeon. The air is suffocating, and the cries of the captives ring in his ears. He clutches the gold nugget, but it grows hot, searing his palm. A voice, ancient and sorrowful, whispers through the darkness. "You hold our pain. It will burn you. The agony is unbearable, and Mark wakes drenched in sweat, his hand throbbing as if truly burned. The days blur together. Mark becomes consumed by fear and guilt. He can't eat, can't sleep, and the words that once flowed so easily now elude him. Every time he touches the nugget, a wave of dread washes over him. He sees faces in the shadows, hears voices in the silence. The boundary between reality and nightmare begins to dissolve. At last, Mark understands. The gold is not a souvenir, not a lucky charm. It is a vessel of suffering, a relic of stolen lives and broken spirits. By taking it, he has carried away more than just a piece of metal. He has taken on the weight of a history too heavy to bear. Desperate for relief, Mark returns to Cape Coast Castle. He retraces his steps to the dungeon, heart pounding. Alone, he kneels and buries the nugget deep in the earth, whispering an apology to those who suffered there. The act is simple, but it feels monumental, a gesture of respect, a plea for forgiveness. Instantly, the weight lifts, the haunting ends, the air feels lighter, and for the first time in days, Mark breathes freely. The nightmares recede, and the voices fall silent. He is left with a profound sense of humility and relief. Do you wish to take a vacation to Africa? I hope you do. In the comment section below, tell me about your biggest fears of Africa and some stories you have heard. I will reply to you and even do a scary video about your fears. Also, kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel. Mark learns a lesson he will never forget. You can't steal from a place of pain. Some histories are too heavy to carry away, and some wounds must be honored, not possessed. The past demands respect, and sometimes the only way to move forward is to return what was never yours to take. Our last story unfolds in the vibrant heart of Accra, Ghana's bustling capital, where the city's energy pulses through every street and alleyway. Amidst the modern skyline and the constant hum of life, hidden stories wait to be discovered. Here, we meet Liam, a business traveler who has just arrived for a high-stakes meeting that could change the course of his career. But fate has other plans. On the eve of his big day, Liam is struck down by a sudden, violent illness. Feverish and weak, he lies in his hotel room, watching the hours slip away, panic rising as his body betrays him. With his laptop open and his schedule packed, Liam knows he can't afford to be sick. Desperate for a solution, he asks the hotel staff for help, but the remedies they offer seem too mild, too slow. Time is running out, and the pressure mounts with every passing minute. In a moment of desperation, Liam turns to his taxi driver, pleading for something stronger, anything that will get him back on his feet. The driver nods knowingly and offers to take him somewhere. Locals go for real medicine. Liam, clutching hope, agrees, and they speed off into the maze of Accra's back streets, far from the polished hotels and glass towers. They arrive at a nondescript storefront, its green door barely visible in the shadows of a narrow alley. The place looks nothing like a pharmacy, more like a secret, a place only whispered about. Liam hesitates, but the driver urges him inside. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of herbs and something unidentifiable. An old woman with sharp, knowing eyes greets him. Without a word, she produces a small, dark vial, unlabeled, mysterious. She presses it into his hand, promising, "It's very strong, very fast." Liam's doubts swirl, but desperation drowns them out. Ignoring the warnings in his mind, he drinks the entire contents in one gulp, hoping for relief. Instantly, the world tilts. He's plunged into a terrifying hallucination. Walls begin to breathe, colors melt and swirl, and shadows twist into impossible shapes. The room feels alive, whispering secrets he can't understand. Liam stares at his reflection in a warped mirror, his face unrecognizable, fear gripping his heart. He's convinced he's dying, or worse, losing his mind forever, trapped in a nightmare with no escape. Hours crawl by in a haze of terror. Eventually, as dawn breaks and light filters through the hotel window, the hallucinations fade. Liam finds himself collapsed on the floor, exhausted, his body trembling, but alive. He's missed his crucial meeting, the opportunity lost. But as he gazes at the sunrise, relief washes over him. He survived the night, and that feels like a miracle. At the hospital, doctors examine him and shake their heads. They tell him he's lucky to be alive. Many who take such medicines aren't so fortunate. The risks, they warn, are real and often deadly. Liam listens, shaken, as the doctor explains how dangerous these unregulated remedies can be. In his search for a shortcut, he nearly paid the ultimate price. As he sits alone, reflecting on his ordeal, Liam realizes that in unfamiliar places, shortcuts can lead to disaster. Sometimes, the quickest path is the most dangerous. Some doors, no matter how tempting, should never be opened. In Accra's backstreets, Liam learned this lesson the hard way. So, what do we take away? Sophia, Mark, and Liam all acted with entitlement, ignoring warnings and local wisdom. They saw culture as something to consume, not respect, and paid the price. These stories are more than spooky tales. They're warnings. When you travel, you're a guest in someone else's home, with its own history and pain. Some doors are closed for a reason. Some objects hold more than value. Some histories are too heavy to carry. Travel with humility and respect. Listen, learn, and leave things as you found them. The deepest connections come from respect, not taking. Stay safe, and see you next time.